Welcome to Crayola Creativity Week. Today's theme is language and laughter. And our special guests are James Murray, who likes to be called Murr, and Carson Smith, co-authors of Area 51 Interns. Hello! We're excited that you're joining us.
Hi, Diana. It's Murr from Impractical Jokers. It's so good to see you.
Hi, Diana. Thank you so much for having me. Creativity is such a big part of my life. I'm so excited to be here to talk to you guys about it.
Today, we're going to talk about creativity, language, and humor. Murr, please introduce yourself and explain your interest in using words and humor in creative ways.
Hello, everybody. My name is James Murray. You might know me as Murr on the TV show Impractical Jokers. I'm the bald one on TV. I'm also the one whose eyebrows they shaved in that one episode. And as a result, my driver's license to this day still has no eyebrows. When I was a kid, I always dreamt of being an author and a writer. And in grammar school, I used to write in the back of my marble notebooks short little funny stories to make my friends laugh. And one of them, it was a poem I wrote called Ode to a Hamster. And it was written like an actual poem. It rhymed. The whole thing was like 2 pages long. My friends made photocopies of it and spread it around the entire school. And they started putting it up on all the lockers in the school. And it was at that moment that I realized that my words, things that I wrote, ideas I created from my own head could make people laugh and could move people in a fun, better, creative, positive way.
Carson, please introduce yourself and explain how you became interested in creative writing.
Hi there. My name is Carson Smith, and I'm a comedian and writer living in New York. But originally, I was born and raised in Florida, where there's a lot of hurricanes in the summer. And so whenever there was a hurricane coming in, we would always be in our house. You know, it would be raining outside. You couldn't really leave. You had to stay down, batten down the hatches. So I just ended up sitting at the old family computer, typing away and just coming up with all these kinds of crazy, wild stories that my little child mind could come up with. And I think that's really the moment where I realized that this is something that I would want to do for the rest of my life.
Murr, you're a comedian and perform improv. Please tell us how creativity fits into your work as an improv comedian.
So Impractical Jokers is very much an improv comedy show. What is improv? Improv is when you have to make things up on the spot. So you'll say something, someone will respond in a certain way, and you've got to riff on what they say and react and come up with something back for them. You do it every single day of your life right now. Anytime you have a conversation with your parents, with your teachers, you're improvising and you don't even realize it because you have no idea what other people are going to say to you and then how you are going to react to them. In Impractical Jokers, it's the same thing. We make everything up as we go along. We create the ideas, the challenges, the punishment ideas for the TV show, and then we go out in public and we do it, but we have no idea how people are going to react to what we do. I'll give you an example. So on Impractical Jokers, there was an episode that I lost, and they took me out to a park, and there's a big crane set up, and I had no idea what they were going to have me do. And they said, Murr, we're going to dress you as a human piñata. And they brought in a bunch of kids with like sticks, like from a birthday party, and the kids got to swing their sticks at me and hit me like I was a piñata. And I had to talk to these kids on the spot and riff with them, making stuff up as I went along, all while being beaten like a little piñata. So when you write a book, a lot of the ideas that you create come from improv, just like what we do on the TV show. So for example, Carson, my co-author, and I will sit down, I'll throw an idea out at her, she'll listen to it, respond, react, and she'll build on that idea. And basically what improv is building on other people's ideas because the sum of what you create is better and funnier and smarter and more clever than anything you create on your own, truly.
Murr, tell us about the children's book you wrote, Area 51 Interns, Alien Summer. What inspired this story?
When I was a kid, I was obsessed with all things science fiction, technology, great tales of adventure, Star Wars, Star Trek, all these great kind of movies and TV shows about future and past and technology and all sorts of crazy gizmos and gadgets. I love that. I was a huge fan of Ghostbusters and the proton packs. Oh my gosh. So we created a book called Area 51 Interns. It's about a group of 8th grade best friends whose parents just so happen to work at the infamous Area 51. What is Area 51? It is a top secret government facility in the Nevada desert where anything and everything could and probably does happen. And our best friends, their parents just so happen to work there. So the first day of summer vacation is take your kids to work day, and our 4 best friends go to visit their parents at work, and all heck breaks loose. All the adults get kidnapped, and it's up to our 4 best friends to save the day every single book.
Mur, please read the opening chapter in the book that sets the stage for Area 51 interns.
Area 51 Interns, Alien Summer by Carson Smith and James Murray, Chapter 1. Keep going! Don't look back! Vivian Harlow wanted to stop and find a place to hide, but the sound of explosions mixing with her mom's commanding voice told her to keep moving. Around her, the few humans still standing attempted to hold off the horde of alien creatures that had overtaken the world's most top-secret military base, Area 51. Vivian nervously scanned the room. It was massive, and she couldn't remember the way out. Viv ran as fast as her legs could carry her, looking for a door or an exit sign, anything that could lead her to safety and out of this chaos. But something or someone rushed up behind her. Before she could react, whatever had been chasing her grabbed a hold of her shoulder and pushed her against the wall. Viv's head whipped back, and she saw her mom's face. A wave of relief washed over her, and all she wanted was to jump into her mom's arms and hug her. But she knew there wasn't time. She watched as her mom frantically punched a code into the control panel on a low air vent along the back wall. The door to the air shaft unlocked with a clunk, and the metal gate flung open. "Quick, get in and start crawling," she shouted at Viv, fighting to be heard over the roaring booms and explosions. She lifted Viv into an open air shaft. "But what about you? You can't fit in here. I'm not leaving you," Viv cried out as her body tumbled into the tight air duct. The icy metal of the vent burned against Viv's skin as she tried to climb back up. The lights from the hall bounced off the platinum walls that now surrounded her. Viv squinted up at her mom, and their eyes locked. "I'll be okay," her mom said. "Your friends are already in the air shaft. Go, look after them." For the first time in her life, Viv could see her mother was frightened. Viv's jaw trembled, but before she could choke a few last words out, her mom's body was wrenched backward by some unseen force. "No!" Viv screamed, struggling to climb back out of the air shaft. She froze in horror as she saw her mom levitating over a pile of unconscious bodies. Her arms dangled by her sides, and her whole body went limp. Nearby, Viv could see one of the creatures with its arms extended, using its mind to hold her mom in the air telekinetically. Viv took in the creatures, the aliens, in their true form. Standing 3 times the size of any human, they were utterly terrifying, and there were dozens of them. Viv didn't know what to do. She desperately wanted to climb out of the air vent and save her mom, but how could one kid stop all these aliens? Around the room, the aliens began to rise toward the ceiling, their eyes scanning for any remaining humans. One turned in her direction. Viv couldn't tell if it saw her or not, but a frightened squeak escaped her throat as she ducked back into the vent. The creature floated past without stopping. Whew. Close call. The others were already in the air shaft, and she had to find them. Scurrying farther along the metal floor, she found her 2 friends huddled and terrified. Charlotte and Ray sat motionless, their eyes filled with tears as they looked toward Viv. "What do we do, Viv?" Charlotte asked, her voice low and trembling. "They were waiting for me to take charge, but I'm just as scared as they are." It's chapter 1.
Mur, the science fiction book features innovative kids who solve problems using really cool gadgets. Describe how creative problem solving is woven throughout the story.
So in Area 51 Interns, we created a lot of super cool gadgets that the kids get to use and try and learn how to use in order to defend their parents and defeat the aliens or the creatures. For example, we've got the duplicator gauntlet, which is, I think, one of the coolest gadgets we created. The idea is you put a gauntlet around your wrist, and by the hit of a button, you can amplify, multiply yourself into like 100 different humans. So for example, in the book, Charlotte, one of our main characters, she slaps on the duplicated gauntlet, and in order to fight the aliens, she's like, how can I use this technology to defeat the creatures? Here's how. I hit a button, and then there's suddenly 100 Charlottes. So the creatures don't know which one is the real one, and they all get to fight the aliens at once. So she's essentially like 100 times bigger than her actual self. So how did we create the awesome gadgets in Area 51 Interns? Here's how. I went back in my mind to when I was a kid, and I thought of all the powers I wish I had as a kid. For example, when I used to play basketball in grammar school, I wish I was taller. So how cool would it be to have a growth ray that at the hit of a button, suddenly you're 10 times your height, so I could have slam dunked a basketball whenever I wanted to? How cool would it be to have so many of me? If I could duplicate myself, I would never have to do homework. I could have a clone of myself do all my homework. I could have another clone take all my tests for me. I could have another clone do all my yard work and all my chores around the house. So we created the duplicator gauntlet. So what we did was we went back into our memories as kids and thought of all the cool gadgets and gizmos and powers we wish we had, and then we created them in the book.
Mur, you have a knack for putting words together in interesting ways. Please explain how you use words to paint pictures and add humor to your writing.
So word choice is so important when writing a book, especially when it comes to comedy. A lot of what we did in Area 51 is we combined words and phrases that wouldn't normally go together that are little jokes throughout the whole book to make you laugh. I'll give you an example. So one of our lead characters, his name is Ray. His last name is Mond, M-O-N-D. Ray Mond. When you put it together, it's a joke, Raymond. And his father is named Al, like Albert, Al Mond. Put his name together, it's almond, like the peanut, like a nut, the almond. So little things like that. What we do is we take words and we combine them together in new and fun ways, puns, if you will, in order to make you laugh.
Carson, this book describes characters, places, and gadgets that no one has seen. How did you and Mur come up with the written descriptions of the innovative gadgets used in this book?
So we knew that the book was going to be set at Area 51. Now we needed some characters. James and I eventually got round to these 4 kids: Viv, Charlotte, Ray, and Elijah. And once we knew what their personalities were going to be like, we knew that each of them had to have a gadget that perfectly matched their personalities, their tone. You know, we have Viv, who is trying to find herself. She's trying to feel more powerful. So we wanted to give her this combat suit, which is incredibly powerful. It produces these huge, almost nuclear level particle blasts that she can shoot out of an arm cannon. So that one fit her. And then we have Ray, who is our awkward goofball. You know, he's a younger kid in the class in 8th grade. He's a little on the shorter side. So we wanted to give him something that not only he could use to feel more powerful, like a growth ray, but also we wanted it to have the function of shrinking him since he is a little clumsy. So in the first book, Ray, it's a huge fight scene. Ray's trying to be helpful. He uses the growth ray on himself and accidentally shrinks down to the size of a mouse. And we thought that was just hilarious. So the gadgets themselves were actually inspired by our characters. And that's how we came up with what they would look like, how they would work, and how they would fit into the overall story.
Carson, visualizing language can be informative and fun. Please provide a demonstration of how words, especially those used in idioms, can be visualized in playful ways.
So an idiom is an expression or a phrase that is used frequently in the English language that typically stands in for the meaning of something else. You probably hear them all the time, but you just don't even notice them. For example, have you ever heard somebody say, "Let's talk about the elephant in the room"? Now, obviously, there's not a literal elephant standing in the room, or else that might be a little scary. That idiom is referring to some kind of topic that needs to be discussed, but people are avoiding for some reason. It's like if you were sitting on a couch and then there's this huge secret that's just standing in the room, like an elephant would, that you are trying to avoid looking at or thinking about at all costs. So now we're gonna figure out how we can visualize these idioms. So I'm gonna draw one for you here, and I want you guys to try and guess which one I'm drawing. So here we go. We're gonna start up top. So that should be a clue. So we got this little guy. Okay. Got a little tail going, maybe a little wag. Do you have an idea of what it is yet? Okay, we'll give him a little friend. Maybe a little sharper on the ears there. Maybe some whiskers. Uh-oh. They're kind of coming down in such a way. Any ideas? You know what that is? It's raining cats and dogs. That's the idiom. And what that means is that it's raining so hard that it might as well be raining everything on Earth, right? There's so much water coming down. Sure, I'd believe it if there were cats and dogs falling out of the sky too. So that's raining cats and dogs. Now we're gonna do our next idiom. Okay, so we got this here. Now, I'm not the best artist, but I hope you can figure out what's coming this way. What if I put a little label here? Okay, so we've got something barbecue flavored that's coming out of here, and they're all over the table. You've probably said this one. I know I definitely have. Spill the beans. Yes. So spill the beans is an idiom when you are referring to a secret that has now been let out. Something that was supposed to remain unsaid, someone has now accidentally or purposefully spilled the beans. And now we will do our last one. I also use this one all the time. I'm gonna start up here. Okay. We've got a little water action coming in, maybe even a little, lightning bolt. I saw a lot of these in Florida growing up. Now we'll put our little main character of our idiom down here. Let's give him a little umbrella. Not feeling well. So, any ideas what this might be? Where is this person standing? That's right, under the weather. So I use this all the time. Anytime I'm feeling sick, this is something you might say. If you're feeling under the weather, maybe you just don't feel like getting out of bed. So you might tell your parents, oh, I'm feeling a little under the weather. Don't do that. But, it's an idiom where whenever you have a rainy day or some kind of weather that you don't really like, it doesn't make you feel really good. You kind of feel kind of crummy. And that's how it has translated over the years to turn into this idiom to mean, I feel sick, I don't feel very well. So now we have these 3 visualized idioms, and I want you guys at home to think of some idioms that you might use, or your parents or your teachers use, and try to draw them out and see what they actually look like on the paper.
Carson, Mur explained how improv acting is done. We'd love for the 2 of you to now demonstrate how to collaboratively create improv art by taking turns responding to each other's ideas.
Absolutely, Diana. Yeah, so all of life is improv in a way. You're reacting to things people say to you, things that are happening in your life. You have to come up with a response. And when you're working creatively with someone, it's the same principle, right? So I'll write part of a chapter, send it over to James. He'll look at it, add a little bit, ask me what he thinks. We send it back and forth, and that's how we collaborate using improv.
And the idea here is that together we can create better ideas than either of us could have done on our own. And we're gonna try it today right in front of you. We're gonna try to create a brand new, super cool, high-tech gadget you might see in the next book of Area 51 Interns. All right, you wanna start?
Let's go.
Well, let's draw a person to begin with, right? Oh no, yeah, that might be wearing this gadget.
Okay.
So we'll start with just a regular person. I'll go green. I'll just draw a little person here. There's his head. I got a little body. This is very rudimentary drawing. We got some legs.
Some curly hair up top.
Some curly hair. He's got his eyes and a little smiley face. Now this is our character, our lead person. Now let's try to create a super cool gadget that he or she might have. What do you think?
All right, so what do we got to work with? So James drew this body, so we know that he's got legs and arms and a head. He's also got a neck and a chest area. So maybe it's something that he wears around his neck, like some kind of necklace, right? So let's say it's... kind of medallion shape. Ooh, so what could that be?
Almost like a Tony Stark kind of like power supply.
Yeah.
It could be a superpowered generator for his or her body, right? That'd be kind of cool.
Okay, so let's add a little details here. So let's say on the face, we have the center where the power's being drawn from, and then it's extending out this way, all over his body. Let's say on the back, the amulet wraps around to the back.
Sure, he's got it on the backside too.
So maybe he has some wings coming out
Heck
of the
yeah,
back.
because we would all love to fly, right? When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be able to fly. So let's draw some wings on this character. Wow, super cool. They're like Valkyrie wings. It'd be kind of cool too? If you're flying, you got to be able to see really far away, right? So what if the character has like these super cool binocular vision goggles, right? That he or she can see like miles into the future ahead what's going to come. So that way when they're flying, they know where the heck they're going.
Oh, now what if he gets lost though? Wouldn't he need some kind of, maybe a compass or some kind of device?
We have GPS in our pockets, but how is this character going to know where the heck to go?
I know, especially because he doesn't even have pants.
Here, we'll get to the pants.
So, okay, let's give him a little compass. Maybe he's holding one over here in his hand. But this can't just be any ordinary compass, right? Maybe
Okay.
instead of pointing to which cardinal direction, maybe it points to the thing that he really wants.
Oh, it reads your desire, what you love most, where you love most to go. So let's say the character wants to go to Disney World, the GPS from the future will tell him or her exactly how to get to Orlando.
Yeah, but it can't read from his hand, right? So it's got to be connected to his brain in some way. Maybe it's got a little wire up here that leads to his
It's
sight
like
glasses.
a cybernetic implant kind of
Right,
thing.
yeah.
Now, this gadget has to connect to something. What's the power? Where's it getting all this information from? And I think that our lead character has gone into the future and pulled back some kind of cool, futuristic satellite that orbits Earth and is going around kind of like Sputnik does and is beaming the coordinates right to the device that's going right into his or her brain.
Right, okay, so this is the sun? The satellite.
It's like the satellite. The sun will draw in yellow. The sun is over here, beaming down.
Okay, so now, let's get to the pants.
We still, our lead character still is not wearing any pants,
We
guys.
need some pants.
We need some pants, but let's do something cool. Like, what's the coolest kind of pants? You know what would be cool? Pants that don't get wet.
Okay.
Right? Because what if the character crash lands in the ocean or decides to take a swim? When you come out of the water, the lake, you're gonna be all wet. So can we come up with something that's like, what's a cool kind of pant that just immediately becomes dry?
Well, I do know that some ducks have feathers that don't get wet.
They do. When you pour water on a duck's back, it rolls right off because it's like anti-wet proof.
So maybe he has some duck technology going on in his pants.
Advanced duck technology is what we're talking about. So let's give our lead character duck pants from the future.
So he's got these
He's got
these little kind of duck flippers down here. Extends all the way down. Maybe we add some feathers up top too, so that he can stay nice.
There you go. So the lower half of our character's body stays dry at all times. The upper half, sometimes you get wet, but your lower half is always nice and dry.
You want that nice and dry.
Like in our book, Area 51 Interns, Ray, he loses his pants in the first 2 chapters, and he's got to walk around in his boxer shorts the whole book.
I bet he
This solves the problem.
These. Yeah, I would want these. I would
Okay,
wear these.
what are we still missing?
Well, he's got a great head of hair we could work with.
That's right. This character has a much better head of hair than I do. We should do something with this. So what would be cool to have in this character's hair? Let's see.
Well, I've always kind of wanted something on top of my head that could read other people's minds.
So we should have some kind of device on top of the character's head. Maybe like this. It goes like this. And it's almost like a little triangle. Almost like, how you put tinfoil in your hat to stop, right? This magnifies signals from other people's brainwaves, their beta patterns.
Wow, okay, so how does this one work? Is this powered by the same satellite or maybe it's powered by his hair?
It could be powered by the character's
Maybe
hair.
it takes a strand of hair as energy each day.
Well, the human body is basically a battery. It's like electrochemical signals. So this funneling hat, in order to read people's minds, can harness the power of a human hair follicle, break down the DNA components of it, and all the what gives you hair color?
Keratin?
Keratin.
Yep.
It can break down the keratin molecule and turn into pure energy.
Love it. I think all he needs is a name.
He needs a new name. What do you think we call him or her?
Here, I'll put the first letter, you put the next.
Okay, good. FR. I'm gonna go AN. France. France. Like in Paris. There you go. Well, there you have it, guys. The brand new character you might see in the next Area 51 interns book, Franz. Thanks, everybody, for using your imagination along with us.
Let's get creative.
Carson and Mur, thank you for demonstrating how kids can create improvisational art to increase collaboration. The more ideas, the better the innovation. We want to thank both Mur and Carson for sharing their personal stories and inspirational ideas.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having us. Have fun getting creative out there, guys. Bye-bye.
And thank you to everyone who joined us today. Educators and parents, be sure to check out more exciting learning ideas at Crayola.com/creativityweek. Remember to share your kids' artwork so others can see how they link language and humor using #Crayola Creativity Week to be entered to win the daily giveaway.